Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Redbird Rundown, our weekly look at the Illinois State men's basketball team. Once again, I'm Assistant Sports Editor Joe Deacon as your host. And before we get to basketball, we're going to talk a little bit of ISU football with my special guest, beat reporter Randy Reinhardt. Hello, Randy.
Hey, Joe.
How you doing? Well, Brock Spack's Redbirds are into the quarterfinals of the FCS playoffs after avenging their only loss of the season with a 41-21 second-round win over Northern Iowa. Randy, this has been a pretty special year for the ISU football team. They're now 11-1. What has impressed you most about them all year, and specifically in the win over the Panthers?
I would say that this is probably the most balanced Illinois State offense I've seen in probably ever. Trey Roberson coming over to be the quarterback has really brought a whole dimension to the offense. He's a real threat, both passing and running. Then you got Marshawn Coppridge having probably the best year for an Illinois State tailback ever. You've got a veteran offensive line. You've got two really good wide receivers in Neblett and Meredith, an experienced tight end in James O'Shaughnessy. The whole package has kind of come together, and they're really balanced. They do everything well.
Yeah, the score against UNI probably looked a little closer than the game really was. The Redbirds got out to a 24-0 halftime lead. We're up 34-7 after three quarters. How much do you think that earlier loss kind of motivated them to come out and get a fast start last week?
I think it really did. When all the ISU players and coaches I talked to, after you see the playoff pairings and the first team you play is probably going to be the only team that has beaten you all year, you think there might be a little oh no type of thing, but there really wasn't. I think everybody on that team really looked forward to having another chance at Northern Iowa to kind of prove they didn't play as well as they could the first time. And they still really thought they were the better team, and they proved that this past Saturday.
Yep, so with the win, ISU now heads to Cheney, Washington to face an 11-2 Eastern Washington team this Saturday on the red turf of Roos Field, which is also known as the Inferno. This is a playoff rematch from 2 years ago when the Redbirds suffered a 51-35 quarterfinal defeat. What are the Eagles' strengths, and what is ISU going to have to do to contend this time?
Eastern Washington's strength is definitely offense. Their quarterback, Vernon Adams Jr., is one of the three finalists for the Walter Payton Award. He's fairly similar to Trey Roberson in the fact that he can run and pass. They have an excellent running back who's very fast that was out of practice yesterday, and Brock Spack was really emphasizing to his team how good this running back is. They scored 44 points a game. The Big Sky Conference is very much an offensive conference, so they also give up 29 points a game. So I think the Redbirds will be able to score. They've been able to score against everybody all year, and I think they'll be able to score points against the Eagles. So it could very well be a game in the 40s or possibly even 50s.
Excellent. Well, Randy, I appreciate you taking a few minutes to talk, and have a good trip up to Washington. Remember, everybody, that Randy will be tweeting live during Saturday's game, which kicks off just after 3 p.m. Central Time. You can follow him at PG_Reinhardt. That's REINHARDT. And then we'll have all of Randy's coverage in Sunday's Pantagraph or right here on Pantagraph.com. Shifting focus over to the Redbird basketball team now. I'm pleased, as always, to be joined by beat reporter Jim Benson. Jim, hello.
It's a tough act to follow, Mr. Reinhardt, but I'll try.
Yeah, he did very good information on the football team. Quite a year for the Redbirds. As far as basketball, though, the Redbirds did move to 4-3 with a 78-74 win over UAB on the road Sunday, thanks largely to a big game from Kyle McIntosh, probably his best game so far in an ISU uniform. Jim, what did you see from Kyle, and do you think it's something where something finally clicked for him?
Yeah, Dan said after the game he had been practicing really well the 3 days before that, and if you practice well, a lot of times you're going to play well, and so I think there's kind of a correlation there, and he really scored on a variety of moves. He scored 13 straight points for ISU early in the second half, and it was really kind of fun to see, and the best one was a one-handed tomahawk dunk on a baseline drive, and I think so far it's been the play of the year for ISU. I think there's two things. I think one, he's getting used to the mask that he's wearing for his broken nose. He broke it a week before the season, and it took a while. Second of all, he's getting used to Division I basketball. You just don't step in, especially he had to sit out last year. Had a lot of rust on his game. He even admitted it afterwards. I think he's just starting to feel a little more comfortable each and every game.
Yeah, and he had came through. That was 18 points to lead ISU in that game. And looking a little further down the stat sheet here, I see that the Redbirds got 13 points from Devon Akun-Purcell, another good game from him. 14 from Deshaun Knight, and Reggie Lynch with 9 rebounds and 6 more blocks. He's having quite a year with the blocks.
Yeah, he's had 19 in the last 3 games. First couple games of the year, he didn't have a lot of blocks. So I was kind of thinking, has he lost the magic from last year? But he's really turned it on quite a bit the last couple games.
Yeah, the one thing he still seems to get into a bit of foul trouble. He's going to have to work on.
Yeah, but I tell you what, the last 2 games he's played his career high in minutes. He played 32 against UAB and he played 31 against VCU. So I think what he's doing, he's picked. You look at the final stat sheet, he's got 4 fouls, but he's really spreading them out. So I think if he does that, he can stay in the game a lot longer, which is really good for ISU. They need him on the court as much as possible.
Yeah. In this game, ISU led by as many as 13, and they never trailed. But the Blazers did have a shot to win or to take the lead late there in the game. Do you think this is another case where they're playing to the level of their competition again? Or?
I really don't think so. UAB had one guy, Robert Brown was his name. He made 7 of 9 threes. He came into the game shooting 21% from three-point range. So you would think that's a guy you're going to leave open from three-point range. Now, after he makes a couple, they probably should have guarded him a little tighter, I'll admit that. But I really think UAB's a decent team. They had a tough schedule. They lost to Wisconsin, Florida, and UCLA in the Bahamas. That's murderer's row right there. I think they're going to be a really good team in Conference USA, and I think by the end of the year, they'll probably be like a top 4 team in their conference. So I thought it was a great road win for ISU.
Nice. Well, next up for the Redbirds is Saturday's 3 p.m. game against DePaul at the Allstate Arena up in Rosemont. That's going to be televised on Fox Sports 1. Oliver Purnell's Blue Demons are 6-1 before Thursday night's game against George Washington. They're averaging almost 80 points a game. So what's going to be the key to success against the Redbirds?
DePaul's got a lot of offensive weapons. One of them is a name familiar to ISU fans, Aaron Simpson. He was a one-time Redbird recruit, didn't qualify, went down to Lincoln College, and eventually landed with DePaul. I think if ISU defensively, if they can hold them to 42% or less field goal, I think they got a great chance to win.
Yeah, and then after that, ISU is back to Redbird Arena on Wednesday to face Tennessee Martin. And the Skyhawks, they're 6-2. They play UIC on Monday before they come to town here. What do the Redbirds expect in this one?
Well, that's another team that likes to score. I mean, they're kind of like DePaul a little bit. They're pretty good three-point shooting team, about 38-39%, which is pretty good. A couple JC transfers. They were picked for the bottom of their league, the OVC, but they've come through. I think they're going to be a dangerous team. It's definitely not a team you can sleep on. They played their quirk of their schedule. They've had 1 home game this season, so that shows you they've beaten some teams on the road, which maybe Bethune-Cookman, Northern Kentucky, and Longhorn aren't the greatest teams, but going on the road, anytime you can go on the road in Division I basketball and win, that's a good win. And they've lost to Nebraska and Marquette, so. I mean, it's definitely a dangerous team.
Yeah, one you can't look past.
Not at all.
Well, remember, Jim's going to hold pregame chats before each of these games here on Pantagraph.com, and you can always follow him live on Twitter at PG_Benson for in-game updates. And also be sure to get a copy of the Pantagraph or visit the website for all of Jim's coverage. Thanks for watching.